Imagine it's a Sunday afternoon. You're making a coffee, you open your super on your phone, and you realise you've been in the same fund your first employer signed you up for, and you've never once checked the fees. If that's you, you're not careless. Almost nobody is told this matters. But right now, a quiet, perfectly legal fee is being deducted from your balance every year, before you ever see it. And over decades, it compounds into real money. Today, I'll show you exactly how to find out what it's costing you. Here's the thing, millions of Australians are exactly where you might be, sitting in a My Super product, never having compared the fees or the performance dragging on their balance. And that's not your fault. The system doesn't make this easy to see. But in the ATO's own example, that gap costs a typical worker $81,000 by retirement. MoneySmart, HUA, so ATO. So today, I'll walk you through 3 free moves. Compare your fund, check your net return, and model the real dollar difference. Each one takes under 20 minutes. Now here's the number that reframes everything. $81,000. That's the extra super you'd have at 65 from a fund charging 1% in fees instead of a pricier one in the ATO's comparison example, MoneySmart, ATO. The same balance grows to $336,000 instead of $255,000. And here's the part most people miss. That whole gap comes from a difference of just 1 percentage point. Stay with me, because I'm about to show you exactly where it leaks from. So here's your plan, and it's genuinely simple. 3 moves. Compare your fund in your super. Check your net return over 5 years or more. Then model the dollar difference in real money. That's the whole thing, and every step is free. So how does 1% do that much damage? The first leak is your ongoing fees and costs. The admin fees, investment fees and transaction costs your fund deducts every year. The ATO runs the Your Super tool that lets you compare them. And the mechanism is simple but brutal. Fees come out of your balance before any future growth is earned. So you don't just lose the fee, you lose all the growth that fee would have earned every year for decades. That's why a tiny number does such big damage. Let's put real numbers on it, because this is where it lands. In the ATO's example, a fund charging 1% in fees grows your balance to $336,000 by 65, while the higher fee path lands at just $255,000. MoneySmart, ATO. Same person, same contributions, same career. The only difference is the fee, and it costs $81,000. But here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Fees are only half the story. Now I want to be upfront with you, because the simple fee story isn't the whole picture. There's a second layer, underperformance in the actual investment option. It's not just that you might pay more in fees. A weaker fund also starts each year from a lower return base. MoneySmart says compare performance over 5 years or more, using the same time frame and similar options for a fair comparison. And here's the catch most people don't mention. A low fee on a fund that lags its peers can still leave you worse off. You need to check both. So the real cost of doing nothing is 2 leaks at once. Lost return plus fee drag, compounding together. That's why a fund can look only slightly behind in any single year, but dramatically behind over a working lifetime. If you stay put without ever checking, both quietly compound against you. Or you compare once, using the free tool, and find out exactly where you stand in under 20 minutes. And here's the myth that keeps most people from ever doing that. Here's the belief that keeps people stuck. A small fee difference doesn't matter, because super is long-term anyway. It feels reasonable, but it's actually the opposite of the truth. Because your time horizon is so long, a small annual fee compounds into a giant gap. $81,000 in the ATO's example. MoneySmart, short ATO. The longer you've got, the more that tiny fee matters. which is exactly why checking it now rather than later is worth your 20 minutes. Let me stack the two numbers side by side so they stick. 1, a single percentage point fee difference, MoneySmart ATO, and $81,000. What that 1 point cost you by 65, the gap between $336,000 and $255,000, MoneySmart EASE ATO. One small number creating one enormous gap in your retirement. Now let me show you what this looks like for someone real. Let me make this real with someone who's probably a lot like you. Meet Sarah, 38, a teacher earning $82,000 a year. She's got $68,000 in a My Super balanced option, and she's 29 years from retirement. Her worry is simple, and maybe it's yours too. Her fund might be charging above average fees while also lagging the benchmark over the last 5 to 10 years. So instead of guessing, she decided to actually check. Here's what Sarah found. Discovery 1, $81,000. That's how much more a lower fee option can leave you with at retirement in the ATO's example versus a higher fee path. MoneySmart JUSH ATO. Now, your own number depends on where you sit. If you've got a smaller balance and fewer years to run, the gap is more modest. With Sarah's nearly 3 decades of compounding ahead, it's a deposit on a house, sitting inside a single fee line she'd never read. The longer your runway, the bigger your number gets. Discovery 2, and this one quietly changes how you read everything. The number that actually matters is your net return, not the gross headline figure funds love to advertise. Australian Super points out that net return already accounts for investment fees, admin fees, transaction costs and taxes, Australian Super. That makes it a true apples-to-apples comparison. So when you check, look at net returns over 3, 5 and 10 years. That's where you see the real effective fees, not the marketing number. Discovery 3, and this is the one that surprised Sarah most. You don't need to pay anyone to do this. The ATO's Your Super tool is built right into MyGov. Under Super, then Information, then Your Super Comparison, ATO. For $0, you can see whether your My Super product is behind its peers. The check that could be worth $81,000 to you costs nothing. So why doesn't everyone do it? Mostly because they've never been told it exists. Put it all together, and for someone like Sarah, the combined cost of higher fees plus weaker performance can easily reach a 6-figure retirement gap. The ATO's fee example alone is $81,000 by 65. MoneySmart, our ATO. I'll be honest with you about the limits here. The public tools don't model your exact balance, so treat this as an illustration of scale, not a precise prediction. The point isn't the exact dollar, it's how big the compounding effect gets over a working life. So, could this be you? Here are 3 quick signs. 1, you've never compared your fund in the Your Super tool. 2, you don't know your fund's net return over 5 years or more. And 3, you haven't checked which investment option you're actually in. If even one of those is true, and for most people at least one is, then the next 3 moves are exactly for you. Let's walk through them. So where does this leave you? You don't need to overhaul your whole financial life. You just need a few specific, practical steps you can start today. 3 moves. Let's do them together. Each one is free, and each one tells you something your fund would quietly rather you never checked. Move 1. Compare your fund in Your Super. Log into MyGov, open ATO Online Services, then go to Super, Information, and Your Super Comparison. This tool ranks My Super products on both performance and fees. What you're looking for is a fund that's competitive on both, not one that's cheap but underperforming, or strong but expensive. Just so we're clear, this is general information, not personal advice, but checking where you stand costs you nothing. Here's exactly how. Step 1, log into MyGov and open ATO Online Services. Step 2, navigate to Super, then Information, then Your Super Comparison. Step 3. Check your fund's performance and fees against the listed MySuper products. What good looks like? A fund that's competitive on both fees and performance, not just one. If yours wins on both, that's reassuring. If it doesn't, keep going. Move 2. Check your net return. Go to your fund's product disclosure or performance page and find the option you're actually invested in. Not the fund's headline brand, the actual option. Look for the net return, fees and costs over the same period, and compare it over 5 years or more, never just one. A single strong year tells you almost nothing about the long run, and the long run is what your retirement actually depends on. Here's exactly how. Step 1. Find the precise option you're in, not the brand name. Step 2. Note the net return, fees and costs for the same time period. Step 3. Compare against a similar balanced option from another fund. What good looks like? Consistently strong 5 to 10 year net returns after fees. One good year is noise. A strong decade is signal. Move 3. Model the dollar difference, because this is what turns a vague worry into a clear decision. Once you've compared, use the ATO's super calculator to estimate what switching would actually mean in retirement dollars. Enter your current balance, your contributions and your retirement age, then run your current fund against a lower fee alternative. Seeing the gap in real money, your money, is what makes it impossible to ignore. Here's exactly how. Step 1. Enter your current balance, your contributions and your retirement age. Step 2. Model your current fund versus a lower fee alternative. Step 3. Compare the end balance and the annual fee drag. What good looks like? A materially higher retirement balance once fees are properly accounted for. If the gap is small, you've got peace of mind. If it's large, you've got a decision to make. Why does this matter right now? 3 dates. In 2021, the ATO launched the Your Super comparison tool so members could finally compare MySuper products on performance. ATO. In 2025, Australian Super confirmed its MySuper balanced and pre-mixed options passed the performance test for the period ending the 30th of June, Australian Super. And in 2026, the tool is still live in MyGov, which makes this a check you can do today, not a history lesson. Your action window is open right now. After you've done the 3 moves, here's how to know it actually worked. You should be able to see your fund ranked against its peers inside your super. Confirm your net return holds up over 5 to 10 years, not just one lucky year. And here's an honest caution. If the modelled gap turns out to be large, get personal advice before you switch, because exit timing and the insurance held inside your super can matter too. A good move is a checked move. Everything I've shared today comes straight from the ATO, MoneySmart and Australian Super. Not opinion, public sources. All the links are below, so you can check the numbers yourself and run your own comparison rather than taking my word for any of it. So if you've made it this far, you now understand something most people in your situation simply don't. How fees and underperformance quietly compound, and the 3 free moves to check your own fund. The next step is to open your super in MyGov this week. It takes 20 minutes. And next, we go deeper on the real question. Should you actually switch funds? Or is staying put the smarter call? If this helped you see what could have been $81,000 quietly slipping away, do the check this week. Your future self will thank you. And if you want to keep making your super work harder, that's exactly what we do here. I'm Alex. I'll see you in the next one.